Welcome back to the quarterly call. All content is for informational purposes and is not investment advice. Please consult with an investment professional. Okay, so today we are diving deep into Adobe's recent investor session, the one held right around Adobe Max 2025. Now, you caught the Max keynotes, you saw, all the flashy new
Oh, your
features.
demos were incredible. The video stuff, 3D, imaging enhancements.
Exactly, that was the sizzle. But this investor session, that was really the stake, wasn't it? A really comprehensive, strategic view on how they're planning to, well, embed AI everywhere and actually make money from it for, like, years to come.
That's exactly right. And, it was interesting how they shifted the focus. Less about hitting the immediate Q4 numbers, though they did reaffirm those for FY 2025, which is, good news.
Right, always good to hear.
But the real emphasis was squarely on the future growth plans. I mean, the sheer amount of innovation they showed off.
Yeah.
It has almost forced them to be strategic in how they talked about it. It's not just AI features. It's AI is the fundamental architecture now.
An architecture designed to serve three really different types of customers.
Precisely. 3 distinct groups, yeah.
So that's kind of our mission today, right? To unpack that strategy. How are they actually tailoring things for the high-end creatives, the sort of everyday business users and consumers, and then those big enterprise marketing folks? And critically, how does this AI platform, Firefly, tie it all together? Because it feels like it's about more than just better tools. It's like they're going after whole new territories.
Totally. New markets, new workflows.
Okay, let's start with that core identity. Adobe is creativity, right? That's their DNA. But the message now seems to be that creativity isn't just for designers anymore. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's pervasive. Every industry, every job function needs some level of content creation now. And that realization is what's driving this shift away from just one big suite to more specific offerings, different tools, different ways to sell them.
So let's break down those three groups. Who's first?
Well, you got to start with the foundation, the creative professionals. Your Photoshop gurus, your Premiere Pro editors, they're still absolutely central.
Our power users.
The power users, exactly. They need the absolute top-end stuff.
Yeah.
The most features, the most control, pixel-perfect precision across imaging, video, 3D, motion, everything. They set the bar, really.
And the innovation for them kind of cascades down.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The really demanding features get proven there, and then maybe simplified versions appear for the other groups. They're the proving ground.
Okay, group one. Now, the second group sounds like where the massive scale is, the business professionals and consumers.
Oh, absolutely huge opportunity there. Billions of potential users, right? This group, they don't necessarily need like 100 layers in Photoshop. They need things fast, easy, AI-powered.
Speed and results.
Speed and results. And this is where Adobe Express and Acrobat really come together. The idea is maximum reach, maximum simplicity. They kept talking about leapfrogging the template era.
Right, avoiding those clunky pre-made designs.
Oh, exactly. Why fiddle with a template when you can just, tell the AI what you want, use a conversational interface, describe the flyer or the social post, and bam, it generates something pretty close instantly. The goal is empowering literally billions of people who need content fast without needing a design degree.
Okay, makes sense. And the third pillar, the marketing professionals. This sounds like the big enterprise play.
It is. This is all about what they call customer experience orchestration, which is basically a fancy term for managing the whole digital customer journey.
Creating, delivering, personalizing.
Optimizing, measuring, all of it at scale. And this is where Gen Studio comes in as the sort of flagship solution.
Gen Studio. Let's dig into that a bit. But first, I want to double click on that Acrobat and Express integration, because for like the average person, that feels like the most immediate change, right? Making it seamless to go from reading something to doing something with it.
That's a fundamental shift, yeah.
Yeah.
They showed off things like the new Acrobat Studio and PDF spaces. Think about it. Historically, a PDF was, well, static. You read it, maybe signed it.
Right. End of the line.
Yeah. Now, they want to turn PDFs, collections of documents, even web pages you clip, into these dynamic knowledge hubs you can interact with.
Interact how?
Through conversation. That's the key. You can literally chat with your documents. Imagine you've got, I don't know, a dozen market research PDFs. Instead of reading them all, you just ask PDF spaces, hey, what are the top 3 risks for expanding into Asia next year?
And it tells you.
It tells you, pulling information from across those documents. But then, crucially, it can take that answer and immediately draft a PowerPoint slide or an infographic using Adobe Express. So you go from consuming information to instantly creating something new from it. That's the leap.
Wow, okay. That is a big change in workflow. And that creation flow leads us nicely back to Gen Studio, which you mentioned is the integration point for marketing and creation in the enterprise.
Exactly. Connects the dots. They pitch it as this single solution covering the entire content lifecycle.
Yeah.
Ideation, planning, creation, production, activation, managing assets, getting analytics back, the whole shebang.
Why is that integration so critical for big companies?
Because the demand for content from these large enterprises is just exploding. But they also have massive compliance needs, brand consistency rules.
Mm-hmm.
They can't just let everyone generate anything.
So control is key. This brings us to that brand brain concept they talked about. Sounds a bit sci-fi. What is it, really?
Yeah, it does sound a bit futuristic. But it's basically a company's centralized AI-powered knowledge base of its own brand. Think logos, fonts, color palettes, historical campaign performance, style guides, target personas, all their approved stuff. Millions of assets, potentially.
Okay.
Gen Studio uses this brand brain to ensure that any content, whether generated purely by AI or edited by a human using their tools, automatically aligns with the company's specific look, feel, and rules.
That sounds like a huge advantage over, say, just using a standalone AI image generator.
Massive. A generic tool can give you a picture, sure, but can it guarantee that picture meets your legal team's requirements and your marketing style guide? Probably not. Gen Studio connects the Creative Cloud workflows, where the high-end assets are made, directly to the delivery systems, ensuring that brand consistency is maintained everywhere. That's gold for a CMO managing risk and scale.
Okay, so Gen Studio orchestrates the workflow, leveraging the brand brain, but the actual generative AI power comes from Firefly, right? That seems positioned as the core engine.
Absolutely. Firefly is the central AI platform. It's positioned as the end-to-end solution for ideation, the bridge from concept to actual production-ready assets.
And the capabilities shown at Max were pretty broad.
Staggering. Yeah, it's way beyond just text to image now. We saw text to video, which is advancing quickly. New audio generation capabilities. These things called Firefly boards for like visual brainstorming and concepting, and really sophisticated semantic image editing tools that understand what's in the image, not just the pixels.
And they're not giving this away for free. It's a subscription.
Right. Firefly is available as its own subscription, and it's also a core part of this bundle called Creative Cloud Pro, which they're positioning as the ultimate package for creatives. So clear monetization path.
But maybe the most strategic part was this whole AI platform approach, the single-stop shop for models. That sounds like more than just using their own tech.
Oh, much more.
Yeah.
This was a really significant announcement. They're essentially making the Adobe platform model agnostic on the back end. They confirm support for partner models, OpenAI, Google were mentioned, Luma Runway for video, even placeholders for others.
Wait, so you could be using Adobe tools but actually generating content via, say, an OpenAI model behind the scenes?
Potentially, yes. That's the idea.
But hang on. Why would someone stick with Adobe then? If the best model is, say, from Google, why not just go use Google's tool directly? Especially if those big tech companies want you on their platforms.
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And Adobe's answer is basically abstraction and workflow. The average creative pro doesn't want to become an expert in comparing 20 different AI models and their APIs.
They just want to get the job done in Photoshop.
Exactly. They want to type a prompt in their familiar Adobe app and get the result they need. Adobe's platform handles the complexity. It intelligently routes the request to the best model for that specific task. Maybe one model is better for photorealism, another for illustration. Maybe Adobe's own Firefly model is best for something needing guaranteed commercial safety.
So Adobe manages the choice, the rights, the integration.
Right. The user stays within the Adobe workflow with all the precision tools they're used to, and Adobe abstracts away the back-end model complexity. That control over the application layer and the workflow, that's their competitive advantage, their moat.
And that moat seems to get deeper with things like Firefly custom models and Firefly Foundry. This sounds like it's aimed squarely at enterprises.
Hugely important for big brands, media companies, anyone with massive amounts of proprietary content. Foundry lets them train their own Firefly models exclusively on their internal assets.
Why would they do that?
Because the quality and specificity of generative AI depend entirely on the training data. If you're, say, a major fashion house, training a model on your entire archive of designs ensures the AI generates outputs that perfectly match your unique aesthetic, your brand DNA, in a way no public model ever could. It gives them a truly proprietary, sophisticated AI capability. That's incredibly valuable.
Okay, let's drill down into Adobe's own model tech. They talked a lot about Image Model 5 and this focus on controllability. What were the big leaps there?
Well, beyond the expected improvements in quality, resolution, and understanding prompts, they highlighted two things that are critical for making AI genuinely useful in professional workflows. The first is image preservation.
What's that?
You know how sometimes with AI image tools, you generate something great, then you try to make one small change, like changing someone's shirt color?
And suddenly the whole background lighting changes or their face looks different.
Yeah,
Yeah, drives me nuts.
exactly. That's drift. Image Model 5 is designed to minimize that. When you make targeted edits, it tries much harder to preserve the surrounding pixels, keeping the rest of the image stable. That allows for much more predictable, precise, multi-step editing.
Okay, that's actually really practical. And the second big thing, editable layers. That sounds different.
It's potentially revolutionary for generative workflows. Traditionally, an AI image is just a flat file, right? Pixels locked in place. Image Model 5 can generate images where key objects exist on their own editable layers, just like you'd have in Photoshop. So you generate a scene with a cat on a table. With editable layers, you could literally click on the cat layer and drag it to a different spot on the table, or resize it, or delete it without messing up the table underneath.
Whoa, so you can actually recompose the AI-generated image after the fact.
Precisely. It gives the creator spatial control, object-level control. It moves the AI image from being just a final output to being a flexible starting point. That's huge for professional use.
And making all this easier to use involves this emerging agentic layer. They mentioned leveraging decades of MCP endpoints. Can you break that down? What are MCP endpoints?
Sure. MCP basically stands for Media Content Platform. Think of it as the massive library of all the individual functions and commands built into Adobe apps over decades. Every filter in Photoshop, every transition in Premiere Pro, every vector tool in Illustrator. They're all essentially MCP endpoints, little bits of code that do specific things.
Okay, thousands of them, I guess.
Hundreds of thousands, probably. Now, the agentic layer is like an intelligent LLM that sits on top of all that. Instead of you, the user, having to manually figure out the 10 steps needed to, say, take a photo, crop it, apply a specific artistic filter, add text, and export it for social media.
You just tell the agent the outcome you want.
Exactly. You might say, make this product shot look dramatic and post it to Instagram. The agent then figures out which MCP endpoints to call in what order across potentially multiple apps to achieve that result. It reasons over the whole Adobe ecosystem to execute complex tasks from a simple natural language request. It turns the tools from just buttons and menus into an intelligent assistant.
Very cool. Okay, let's bring it back to the money. All this AI power uses compute, which costs money. How are they handling that? Generative credits.
Yep, generative credits are the currency. It's a consumption-based model. You get a certain number of credits with your subscription for basic use. But if you're a power user, generating tons of high-res images, or especially video or 3D, which are very compute-intensive,
You need to buy more credits.
you need to buy more credits. It aligns the cost directly with the value and the compute resources being used.
But there are so many free AI tools popping up. How do they convince people to pay for credits when they can get something for free elsewhere?
It comes down to quality, integration, and, crucially, governance. First, they did stress they have good economics on compute, both for their own models and buying partner models at scale, so they can offer competitive pricing via the credit rate card. But the bigger point is what the credit buys. It's not just the image. It's the assurance that comes with it, integration into professional workflows, higher quality output, and especially the commercial safety, the indemnification, the Content Authenticity Initiative, CAI, provenance.
Ah, the legal safety net.
For any serious professional or enterprise, knowing you have the rights to use the generated content commercially and that Adobe stands behind it is incredibly valuable. That's worth paying for. Their core belief hasn't changed. The AI model itself isn't the sustainable business. The value is in controlling the application, the workflow, and providing that trust layer.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's shift gears now to the big enterprise picture, the digital experience side of the house, serving those CMOs, CIOs. This all rests on the Adobe Experience Platform, AEP, right?
AEP is absolutely foundational. It's the brain, the central nervous system for customer data. It unifies customer profiles, tracks interactions across every touch point, web, mobile, email, even offline in real time. Everything else in their enterprise offering pretty much builds on top of AEP.
And they talked about 3 main enterprise use cases built on it.
Yeah, 3 core integrated plays. First is the content supply chain, which we touched on with Gen Studio. It's about streamlining that whole process, ideation, creation, management, delivery, analytics, making it way faster and more efficient, using that brand brain for consistency.
Getting content out the door faster but safely.
Exactly. Second is customer engagement. This is where AEP data feeds tools like Customer Journey Analytics and Adobe Journey Optimizer to deliver personalized experiences in real time. Right message, right person, right channel, right moment, powered by unified data and optimized content. They really pushed AEP as basically mandatory for any modern company, B2B or B2C, wanting to do personalization properly.
Okay, content, efficiency, customer engagement. What's the third one? This sounded newer.
Right.
Brand visibility.
Yeah, this one felt like a direct response to the rise of generative AI search and conversational interfaces. The agentic web, as they called it. Meaning the realization that tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, they're becoming the new starting point for how people find information, products, services. It's like the shift from Yellow Pages to Google Search 20 years ago, but potentially even more disruptive.
Because the LLM might just give you the answer directly, bypassing the brand's website entirely.
Precisely. If customers ask an AI chatbot, what's the best CRM for a small business? And the chatbot just summarizes some options without sending traffic to the CRM vendor sites, those vendors have a huge visibility problem. The CMO needs to ensure their brand shows up accurately and positively within those LLM conversations.
So how is Adobe helping with that? That sounds like a tricky problem. This is where that Adobe LLM optimizer comes in.
Exactly. Think of it as the next generation of SEO, but for large language models. It's a tool designed to help brands structure and optimize their website content so that LLMs can easily ingest it, understand it, and represent it favorably in their responses.
Making your content LLM friendly?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the interesting backstory they shared was that they originally built this tech internally for themselves. They saw a surge of traffic coming to Adobe Acrobat documentation pages from LMs and realized they needed to optimize their own stuff to rank well in those conversational searches. Now they're selling that capability to customers.
Okay, so LLM Optimizer gets you visibility in the AI chat, but you still want people to eventually come to your site, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when that traffic does arrive, maybe referred from an LLM, you need your site to be fast and effective. That's where the site's optimizer fits. It focuses on technical performance, page speed, core web vitals, lighthouse scores, ensuring the user has a great experience once they land on your page. No point having great LLM visibility if your site is slow and clunky.
Connects the dots. And the third piece here was brand concierge.
Right. This is about turning the brand's own website into a sophisticated conversational experience. Instead of just static pages or a basic chatbot, it uses AI, powered by AEP data and the brand brain, to provide rich, accurate, personalized answers and guidance directly on the site. They're using it themselves on sites like business.adobe.com. It's like having your own expert AI agent for your customers.
So really wrapping the customer in helpful AI at every stage.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And importantly, they stress that none of this enterprise stuff happens in a vacuum. They rely heavily on their huge partner ecosystem, cloud providers like Microsoft and Google, ad networks, other software companies, systems integrators, agencies, all essential for actually implementing these complex solutions inside their 20,000 plus enterprise customers and turning the AI promise into real business value.
Okay, let's pivot to the financials. The overall message seemed pretty upbeat, right? Strong performance, targets reaffirmed.
Yeah, definitely confident. Reaffirmed Q4 and full year FY25 targets, highlighted good execution through the first 3 quarters. But the really eye-catching number was around AI's impact already.
What was that figure?
They stated that AI-influenced revenue is already over $5 billion, which is pretty substantial considering how new some of this stuff is. And even more strategically, they explicitly said they expect AI-influenced annual recurring revenue, ARR, to eventually grow to be 100% of their business.
Wow, okay. So AI isn't just a product line. It's expected to underpin everything they sell over time.
That's the message. It's the utility layer.
And how does that growth actually happen across the different customer groups? The mechanics seem different.
They are. For the business pros and consumers, think Acrobat and Express. It's all about user growth, engagement, scaling that freemium model.
Yeah.
Get tons of people using the free or cheap tiers, then convert some to paid. It's a volume game.
More users, more engagement.
Right. For the creative and marketing pros, it's more about value expansion. Adding more AI features into Creative Cloud justifies price increases or tier upgrades. And for the enterprise, it's deeper value-based selling with things like Gen Studio and AEP, solving bigger, more expensive problems which commands higher subscription fees. Scale versus value.
Now, this blurring of lines, especially with solutions like Gen Studio spanning creative and marketing, that's forcing a change in how they report financials, isn't it? New metrics coming.
Yes, this is a key takeaway for anyone tracking the company closely. Starting in FY 2026, they're changing their primary reporting metrics. They'll focus on customer group subscription revenue, basically revenue split by the pro groups versus the consumer business pro group, and total Adobe ARR across the whole company.
Why the change?
Because the old segments, digital media for Creative Cloud and digital experience for the marketing stuff, just don't reflect reality anymore. Where do you put Gen Studio, which serves both? Yeah. Or Express, used by everyone, or Firefly Foundry? The old structure was becoming kind of artificial. The new metrics align reporting much better with their actual customer-focused strategy.
Will they still give the old numbers for a while?
Yes, they confirm they'll provide the traditional digital media and digital experience subscription revenue numbers during FY26 as well, just to help with the transition and give analysts continuity.
And even with all this change and heavy R&D spending, what was it, over $3 billion in the last year?
Yeah, over $3 billion in R&D.
They're still projecting double-digit growth in that new customer group revenue metric and maintaining a non-GAAP operating margin above 46%.
Right.
Is pretty efficient.
It's world-class financial performance, yeah. Speaks to the profitability of their model and their scale. But, there's always that lingering question in the market.
Ah, yes. The seat dilution debate. The idea that if AI makes creatives so much more productive, companies might need fewer licenses, fewer seats. How did they tackle that one?
They tackled it head-on with this idea of the unambiguous content explosion. Their argument, based on customer conversations, is that the demand for content is simply growing much, much faster than AI can increase individual productivity.
So even if one person can do 10x more, the company now needs 100x more content.
That's the gist of it, yeah. Think about all the new formats, personalized video variations for marketing, 3D assets for virtual environments, endless social media content, interactive experiences. The volume and complexity of content required by brands is just skyrocketing.
So AI productivity gains are basically just helping creatives keep up with the tsunami of demand, not replacing the need for them.
That's their position. Plus, they're bringing new users into the fold at the lower end with Express and the free Firefly tier. So they see growth coming from both ends. More people creating simple stuff, and professionals using AI to tackle increasingly complex, high-value tasks. They seem genuinely convinced that the overall need for creativity and therefore their tools is only going up. Unambiguous growth, as they put it.
Okay, so wrapping all this up, the picture they painted was one of really comprehensive coverage, wasn't it? Targeting basically every type of creator, powered by an AI platform that's both their own and open to others, and deeply integrated into both creative workflows and enterprise marketing systems. They sound pretty confident.
Extremely confident. The integration story, especially connecting Creative Cloud deeply with the Experience Cloud via things like Gen Studio and AEP, seems central to their belief that their best days are ahead. Maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Notice how much emphasis they put on being the trusted party for creation, especially mentioning potential expansion into regulated industries like finance and healthcare. If their premise is right that AI models themselves aren't the long-term defensible business, but the application layer and the workflow control are aligned on, then the real battleground isn't just about having the best algorithm. It's about being the platform that owns the user interface, orchestrates the complex processes, and provides the governance that high-value customers absolutely require. That seems to be the strategic ground Adobe is determined to hold.
A battle for the workflow, essentially. Fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for tuning into the Quarterly Call. For more episodes, please remember to rate and follow our show. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.